are going to have a Symposium 1 that is on integral humanism. And we have got 3 speakers this evening. First, Professor Ranjan Panda, and then Dr. Aditya Gupta, and Dr. Madhu Bala Kumari. Then let me start quickly, so I call upon Dr. Aditya Gupta to begin with.
Respected Chair and again delegates, respected professors from other universities as well. I would try to complete in 5-6 minutes, that's all, because I have to catch a flight. Basically, integral humanism, I wish to explain in the light of bioethical philosophy, bioethics. Bioethical philosophies we have, if we see that, initially we have anthropocentric worldview. Like some of our religions told us that this whole earth and the whole universe is being made for human being. And if this whole earth and whole universe is being made for human being, definitely human being has a right to exploit anything, because God has created, God is infinite, so creation of God would also be infinite. So anthropocentric worldview was there. But later on we realized, like so far population was less, we did not face environmental problems. But later on, with the increase of population, we started facing many problems of environment. So we realized this anthropocentric view is not the right one. Also, some archaeological evidences proved that God did not create human being. Rather, it took many million years to become human being. It was human being, creation of human being was out of evolution, not out of one event that God created this man and out of that miracle everybody else was born. So we started thinking about biocentric point of view, like, that environmental philosophy from anthropocentric to biocentric, like, not only in human being, even plants and trees, like animate aspect is not exclusively limited to human beings, rather that animate aspect is extended to trees, plants and other aspect of the world as well, of the nature as well. So what do we find? Biocentric point of view we started thinking about, that it is not the only human being, but human being must cooperate with other aspect of reality, like animals, trees and all. But later on we realized, like especially Professor Bhatt was saying, that after the development of quantum physics, that this distinction between animate and non-animate is also elusive. Because quantum physics says nothing is non-animate, nothing is unconscious. The fundamental reality of this universe is consciousness. So how can there be a distinction between animate and inanimate? So we started thinking, like, after some other, like, sentientism, and then we reached to deep ecology. Deep ecology says that we are finally connected with the whole existence. The so-called inanimate is also connected with us. The so-called non-living is also not living exactly, but we are all connected with that. So deep ecology teaches us that we should have equal respect for the whole existence, no matter it is animate or inanimate, and we are one of the citizens of the whole universe. Now, in the light of this deep ecology, though Western philosophy, though Western thinkers have given deep ecology, that we are all somewhere connected, but they do not give the philosophy behind it. Why is it so that we are all connected? In my view, that Advaita Vedanta of India has the answer that ultimately we are consciousness, ultimately we are, everything is Brahma. Brahma is the ultimate reality. If consciousness is the ultimate reality, and we are different expressions of, we are different evolutions of that consciousness. Human consciousness, animal consciousness, stable consciousness, that's all. So if this is the case, then human being is just, you can say, one of the aspect of this whole existence. One of the aspect of this whole existence. Human being is not the center of this universe. Had it been the case, had God been made human being the center of this universe, it would not have taken, say, million years to become human being. Before that, we were Neanderthal, Cro-Magnons, and archaeological evidences prove that we were not human beings. So, deep ecology, the insight of deep ecology, the knowledge of deep ecology has the answer or has the philosophical basis in Advaita Vedanta. Integral humanism, clearly propagated by Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay, actually takes a wisdom from this Advaita Vedanta, takes a wisdom from this Upanishadic philosophy that we are all non-different. Human being can be one of the reality, human being can be part of this reality, but human being is not everything. So, human being is, because as every consciousness, there is no difference. Ultimate reality is consciousness, so there is no difference between human being and table, human being and other animals as well, essentially. Only at practical level, only at Vyavharik level, these differences are there. So we should keep in mind that ultimately we, because of consciousness, matter is not the reality, because of consciousness we are all connected. So human being is also connected. Now, if human being is well connected with every other thing, then he should take care of environment, he should take care of society, he should take care of nation, he should take care of this world. This integral humanism can be understood with the picture of, say, spiral galaxy, like this. So, in the center, suppose you say one point is human being, individual being, and then second is, say, families, then is a state, a society, then say a state, then is nation, then world, then you say living beings, nature, the whole existence. At the top of, you can say the whole existence is in that spiral. So human being is integrally connected to the whole existence. Human being is not an island in itself. Human being is whole connected to society, to nation, to the world, to the environment, and we should live life in such a way that none of the string of, none of the parameter of this existence is disturbed. This is the meaning of integral humanism. Our humanism, we have many versions of humanism, religious humanism, secular humanism, scientific humanism, but our version of humanism is holistic. Holistic in the sense it keeps human being well connected with nature, keeps human being well connected with society, nation, country, and the whole world. Out of this integral humanism, in Maha Upanishad, there is a one, Ayam Nijha Parobiti, Gadana Laguchetisam, Udari Charitanam tu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. This is mine, that is yours. Such calculations are made by narrow-minded people. For those who are of great heart, for those who are of, you can say, great mentality, the whole universe is like a family. So, recognizing familyness in whole world, not only among human beings, but even in non-animate things, even in existence, other things, that is the essence of integral humanism. Thank you very much.
So I invite now the next speaker, Dr. Madhu Bala Kumari.
Respected Chairperson, Professor Gangadhar sir, who is very close and respected, and my guru, my teacher, and co-presenters, and all the dignitaries sitting in this hall. Jai Sachidanand. The title of my paper is Integral Humanism of Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay. Actually, as you know that we are already late in this session, the session is going very late, and I am really afraid of hammer of the time, so I will try to complete my paper within time limit, and without wasting my time in giving backgrounds and all, I will just go through my paper. Now, Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay was an eminent political personality and a profound philosopher. He was a great thinker of his time who pondered upon various issues and aspects of social, political, and economical importance. Upadhyay's philosophy of integral humanism has various dimensions such as social, political, and economic, but in my paper I have taken only social perspective. Now, Deen Dayal is of the opinion of the view that man is a complex of elements. He says body, mind, intellect, and the soul. These four makes up an individual. Highlighting the importance of all the constituent elements, he asserts, we do think of the soul, but it is true that we do not consider body, mind, and intellect of much importance. According to him, quote, These four elements cannot be viewed separately because these are integrated. They also intervened with each other. If any element is missing or undeveloped, then something vital remains amiss in the personality of man. Thus, Deendayal Upadhyay emphasizes that we have considered the life of an individual in a man through the integrated manner. We have set the aim of developing body, mind, intellect as well as soul in a balanced way. This concept of complete human being and integrated individual is both our goal as well as our path. Now he has given view on human nature, what type of nature we have. He says about human nature, he says that man possesses both bad as well as good tendencies. He observes human nature has both types of tendencies, anger and greed on the one hand and love and sacrifice on the other hand. All these are present in one nature. He divides human nature into two types, that is Asuri Bhav and Devi Bhav. That is the demoniac disposition and dynamic disposition of goddess. According to him, the former is based on self-interest and latter on self-services. He is of the view that lower demoniac tendencies degrade man and obstruct his path of self-perfection. Instead, Devi Bhav is a divine imagination which leads man towards divinity. Therefore, he accords primacy to Devi Bhav. Now his view on happiness. What is happiness? He says, Deendayal Upadhyay wants to evolve a feeling of oneness and mindness with the entire creation of the world. He encourages man to adopt the way of cooperation. He emphasizes mental cooperation sustains life on this earth. The recognition of this element of mutual sustenance among different forms of life and taking that as the basis of an effort to make human life mutually sustaining is the prime characteristic of this civilization. He wants to build up a self-knit, harmonious edifice or order of civilization on the principle of complementarily and mutual relationship based on fellowship, cooperation, sympathy, and goodwill in man's life. His view that corresponding to fourfold elements of human personality, there are fourfold aspirations of man, that is bodily, mental, intellectual, and that of soul. He asserts, we have tried to satisfy the manifold aspirations of man, taking care that efforts to satisfy two different aspirations are not mutually conflicting. This is the integrated picture of all the fourfold aspirations of the individual. That's the main. Next I will just skip some, and next I will go on his view which he gives about the value of life. In dealing with the issue of achievement of the fourfold happiness, Deendayal lays stress on four types of purushartha: dharma, artha, kam and moksha. According to him, purushartha means efforts which benefit a man. Deendayal's formation of purushartha is integrated, holistic and hierarchical. He advocates the establishment of a balance among the claims of dharma, artha, kam and moksha. He emphasizes the relevance of all of the values of life. He is of the view that higher one cannot be attained in absence of the lower ones. In this configuration, dharma is viewed as the stabilizing prior pivot on or anchor sheet. His exposition of purushartha is undoubtedly traditional. It is woven on the ancient paradigm of classical Indian thought. It may be noted that though Deendayal emphatically holds the importance of spiritual values, but he does not show any bias against materialism. It is evident by the stress he has given on the fulfillment of artha, however, on the basis of dharma. In fact, he favors to achieve a balance between materialism and spiritualism. Now, unless and until we will understand his concept of society and universe, we cannot understand his integral humanism completely. So, what is his, I am just going to share his view on society. After discussing India's concept of man, his happiness, values of life, it is necessary to have a review on his concept of society. Deen Dayal is of the view that an individual is inseparably attached to society. Society, according to him, is an enlarged man. He believes in organic conception of society. It may be stated that notion of society as the cosmic man is enunciated in the Vedic hymn Purushukta. The conception of society as an organism has appealed to several Indian thinkers such as Sri Aurobindo, Rabindranath Tagore, Radhakrishnan, etc. Now next his view on humanity and universe. Deen Dayal does not stop merely on discussing relation between man and society, but he also deals with the relation of man with humanity and universe. He believes in the principle of Yat Pinde Tad Brahmande, means to say that the entire universe is manifestation of one principle. He envisions intrinsic unity among the manifold things of the universe. He is of the view that entire cosmos is a single unified system. All the diverse forms of universe are integrally attached to one another. The individual occupies a pivotal position in the system. Man is attached intrinsically with all the creations of the universe. Therefore, his vision is termed as integral humanism. Thanks.
Thank you, Madhu Balaji. You have rightly interpreted Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay's concept of integral humanism. And to me, it appears that Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay's integral humanism is founded on spirituality, and on this ground, he has talked of a universal integral man. So, lastly, I invite Dr. Ranjan Pandey, and he has full time you have allotted, and go on with your paper.
Honorable Chairperson, but before I begin, I must thank ICPR, Professor Paneerselvam for giving me this opportunity, Professor Nitin Bhai Vyas for nominating me for this symposium, respected Professor Pradhan in the audience, and other fellow participants who have shown their commitment to philosophy and are there to listen to this last paper. Friends, I begin with the paper. The title of my paper is Integral Humanism, an Understanding of Philosophy of Life. The paper begins with a note on integral humanism advocated by Deen Dayal Upadhyay. In order to show its significant contents, the paper brings out a brief overview of the Western scientific humanism. My reading of humanism shows every form of humanism advances with their conceptual richness, which helps in addressing the problem that humanity encounters. In this connection, scientific humanism has its own critiques, not only within their own philosophical tradition, but from the outside, that is, from the perspective of integral humanism. I find that Western scientific humanism is not resilient enough to address the ethical and metaphysical issues, because scientific humanism is committed to a model of explanation which explains human values in the light of the model of natural science. This results in reductionism. That is to say, humanistic values are reduced to certain natural elements, that is, the first nature. On the contrary, the critics find a way out by speaking about an alternative model of the ontology of scientific culture on which human sciences are grounded. This has given an opportunity to understand the ontology of humanism, which I have tried to illustrate referring to the notion of Bildung, that unfolds the logical significance of the second nature of the mankind. The paper is concluded stating that integral humanism will assimilate and absorb such a form of Bildung in order to maintain a holistic worldview. The paper has 5 sections, but they are not titled. They are written in a sequence so that I can read them together as and when they come. The central focus of integral humanism is to bring out the significance of Indian philosophy, Bharatiya Darsana and Bharatiya Sanskruti, Indian culture, in order to show the epistemic concern is to have a holistic view of life. It is because the Western epistemology represents partial truth, advocates Upadhyaya. The holism here stands not making an ontological and epistemological rejection of other forms of humanism, rather makes an appeal to integrate them in order to understand deeper values of life. Integral humanism suggests that man, I quote, is not a passive spectator, but an actively engaged being in encountering challenges and reacting to them, which helps to reshape life as required. Marxism is an outcome of this encounter, but it is merely reactionary, rather a scientific and pragmatic one, unquote. To understand this, we need to free ourselves from the ideologies and limits that are imposed on us by other cultures. The problems are therefore to be addressed wisely. Knowledge creation in this regard is an essential activity for integral humanism. It demands both individual and collective engagement as it aims to achieve the collective human well-being. Knowledge is regarded as a common property, ought to be used for entire humanity. In this regard, integral humanism puts emphasis on sharing knowledge. Since human life is truth-centric, truth-seeking is a normative activity, and as a seeker of truth, there is a need to realize this fully. And this has been emphasized by Deen Dayal Upadhyaya. This will only happen when humanity enjoys the value of freedom and dignity. The freedom to realize truth is same as realization of oneself. Self-development and self-realization has been the central concern of Indian philosophy. The second section. The Western civilization has understood the notion of humanism in the background of its philosophy, history, and the development of science and technology. Though human-centric values are explicitly expressed in the work of Plato, Aristotle, and the Stoics, and thereafter many philosophers in the modern and postmodern period have reiterated and also renewed the very conception of humanism. Many of them have not denied the Judeo-Christian tradition while understanding the value of life. The anthropocentric philosophical outlook of the Western civilization has affected the ecosystem in which human beings are figured at the center of the universe. If man as a maker of the destiny of the universe, then it cannot but wake up to this normative attitude of commitment and responsibility towards the other beings and the universe as a whole. David Cooper, in his paper, Humanism and Scientific Worldview, published in 1999, has tried to show that the Western philosophy, particularly the dominant one, that Western American philosophical humanism, has not been very antagonistic about scientific worldview. Science has been an integral part of their education and is excluded from the study of human values, which are mainly grounded on the, has included that human values are mainly grounded on the first nature of man. And humanism has proliferated in the same form, in different names called essentialism, naturalism, existential humanism, etc. So far as essentialism is concerned, human beings constitute a natural kind, illustrating the ontological foundation of first nature. The naturalists also maintain this view that humans are natural entities by virtue of their deeper features similar to other natural beings. This kind of naturalism is also termed as scientism, which provides a natural scientific account of the world which tries to explain human thoughts and culture. Section 3rd, the materialistic culture of scientific humanism has given birth to several problems. In 21st century, humanity encounters many ethical challenges as the normative order of globalization is losing its grip over the major political powers, is an indication of disintegration in our concern for the humanity. As Upadhyay rightly points out, this is due to the influence of Western materialistic culture. Socio-economic and political situations in many societies are yet to be improved, as many of them are victims of war, terrorism, and corruption. Scientific and technological knowledge, though, are found useful so far as managing public services are concerned, but unable to address the issues related to environment, peace, and harmony. The revolution in biotechnology, particularly in the field of human genome project, deals with some serious claims concerning humanity, such as embryo selection and human cloning. This program has both political and ethical consequences. This is mostly due to the utilitarian way of assessment of human life. As Michael Sandel puts it rightly, everything is for sale. That includes not only the sale of organs, but also the womb of a mother. Thus, there is a limit to human freedom and no dignity. As these issues and their remedies are humanly created, we look back to humanity with a hope to understand what is yet to be surfaced and realized, so that we can overcome suffering and crisis that environment faces, knowing well that human greed and hatred are the breeding elements of individualism and egocentrism. Section 4th. There are many criticisms within the Western philosophical tradition. More interestingly, Cooper's reading of humanism and scientific worldview draws our attention to the philosophical significance of second nature. For Cooper, John McDowell, following Cicero, has recently critiqued philosophical naturalism and has highlighted the significance of second nature of man. So far as this goes, for Cicero, culture, trade, navigation are created by human beings themselves, apart from other animals, unquote. Analyzing further on this point on second nature, Professor R.C. Pradhan writes, I quote, "Second nature comes closer to human nature, though they are not the same. The concept of human nature is ambiguous because it could be covered under first nature as later is the realm of the physical and the biological laws. In that sense, it could be disenchanted as well. But once it is disenchanted, it tends to be free from rationality and other features of the enchanted nature. However, second nature is already enchanted to the extent of the being, primited with rationality, as writes McDowell. But once it is, unquote, once it is accepted as a rational human nature, second nature graduates into new level where, I quote again, human beings are intelligibly initiated into the stretch of space of reasons by ethical upbringing, which instills the appropriate shape into their lives, unquote. This suggests that second nature is the result of ethical upbringing and other cultural training called Bildung. Though McDowell maintains that Bildung is an outcome of rational initiation into the space of reason, still it is not divorced from the first nature of human life. The fifth section, the naturalistic construal of understanding the culture and normative aspects of human life is critiqued by Pradhan and Cooper. Pradhan tries to show the Hegelian way out while conceptualizing reason as an autonomous feature of human life that evolves in forming and reforming the state of being into the higher level of human existence. I quote again, he writes, the Hegelian way of reconciling reason and nature ascribes to reason the capacity to make nature evolve into supernature, that is, into something not already present in nature, unquote. Pradhan's construal of supernatural existence of human life is conceived without bringing any kind of mysticism and supernatural. However, to understand the deeper mystical and supernatural presence of life, Hans Gadamer illustrates the notion of Bildung as the guiding concept of humanism. Going beyond the conceptual framework of Kant and Hegel, Gadamer critiques the naturalistic tradition of philosophical humanism, which has tried to map human sciences using the method of natural sciences. Human science, for Gadamer, as a true representative of humanism, has to contemplate on these many factors. They are historical self-understanding, taking into account the wealth of verbal and the conceptual history, and that includes art, history, creative worldview, experience, genius, external world, interiority, expression, style, symbol, which we take to be self-evident. And that would be an aid to philosophical enquiry, writes Gadamer. Bildung is a conceptual ground for cultivating human and self-understanding. This cultivation is a continuous process of building and renewing oneself and understanding its own being that signifies the notion of upholding the notion of self-consciousness or self-knowledge that involves both the mode of knowing and the mode of being that leads to perfection and universality. To conclude, self-knowledge provides ontological basis for humanism. Scientific humanism has very little space to address the issue concerning the value of spiritual knowledge and moral perfection. The concept of man in scientific humanism is being objectified, and thereby it loses its metaphysical presupposition as a supernatural being aims to realize perfection and universality. By philosophizing integral humanism, one transcends the limit of scientific and religious humanism. Integral humanism unfolds the man's interpersonal relationship with other with a higher aspiration of peace and harmony that goes in accord with the normative principle of Purusartha. Thank you.
Well, indeed, Dr. Ranjan Panda has presented a very nice paper on Deen Dayal Upadhyay's integral humanism. In fact, when we talk of humanism, really we want to talk about the value of humanity, value of human life. And of course, it is also true that this theory of humanism as a theory, started with Auguste Comte against religion, against religiosity. But later on, it has taken different varieties of shapes, as we find today: integral humanism, spiritual humanism, and rational humanism, scientific humanism, so on and so forth. So, friends, you'll agree that all the three speakers have presented Deen Dayal Upadhyay's concept of humanism, that is for mutual understanding of each other, unity of humanity, humanity of human souls. I thank all of them, and I thank you all. That's all.